Good afternoon, Miss Denny. Could you please state your full name for the record?
Apple Denny.
And can you spell your last name for the court reporter?
Dennie.
And Miss Denny, how do you know Bla1 Taylor?
Wait, yes, fall of 2016, and I met him in November of that year.
And what year was he in school?
I believe he was a junior, senior.
Do you remember how old he was?
No.
But he was a couple years older than you, is that fair?
Yes.
And did you continue to date into the beginning of that next year, early 2017?
Yes, for myself.
Was that something that you felt like you could talk to your parents about at the time?
No.
And so from the time that you found out, what did you ultimately end up doing?
I had an abortion.
And was there any point in which you changed your mind about that?
No.
And Mr. Taylor, did he accompany you to the appointments for that?
Yes.
And was there one?
Before we even get into this testimony, understand what you're about to hear is not just a simple courtroom exchange. It's a layered relationship timeline that slowly escalates into allegations involving pregnancy, coercion, and an alleged attempt to influence extremely serious medical decisions. We are introduced to Apple Denny, who is now on the stand describing her past relationship with Bla1 Taylor, and right away the tone is heavy. This isn't just dating history. It's a story stretching back to college years, when both individuals were barely out of their teens. What makes this case so compelling is how ordinary it begins. Young love at Arkansas State University, but then gradually shifts into deeply uncomfortable territory involving abortion decisions, emotional volatility, and claims about pressure and manipulation. The courtroom is not just establishing facts. It's trying to reconstruct intent, memory, and responsibility years after the events allegedly took place. And here's the big question for you watching. When people are young, emotional, and in complicated relationships, where do we draw the line between impulsive talk and genuine intent? Because according to this testimony, what starts as private conversations could have much larger implications. Let's step into the record. This early line of questioning is laying the foundation of the entire relationship timeline. Apple Denny confirms she met Bla1 Taylor during her undergraduate years at Arkansas State, when she was just 18 years old. That detail matters legally because it frames the emotional and developmental stage both individuals were in: late adolescence, early adulthood, still forming identity and decision-making patterns. We're also seeing how long-term, on-and-off relationships can blur timelines and testimony. She mentions breakups, getting back together, which is important because it introduces uncertainty into memory recall, something defense attorneys often highlight to challenge consistency. But here's the real takeaway. The court is not just asking what happened, but how clearly can it be remembered nearly a decade later. And for viewers, the question becomes, how much weight should we place on emotionally complex memories from that far back?
2018, it was breakups, get back together, breakups, get back together, so the timeline gets a little foggy.
Which, for reference, you said that y'all began dating when you were 18. How old are you now?
28.
And what year were you in school?
I started fall of 2016, fall of 2016, and I met him in November of that year.
And what year was he in school?
I believe he was a junior, senior.
Do you remember how old he was?
No.
But he was a couple years older than you,
Yes.
is that fair?
Yes.
And did you continue to date into the beginning of that next year, early 2017?
Yes.
And at some point in your relationship, did you ever become pregnant?
Yes.
And about when did that happen?
This moment shifts the entire direction of the testimony. We learn about a pregnancy occurring in January 2017, during what appears to be a very unstable phase of the relationship. Denny describes fear and confusion, emphasizing she did not feel ready to have a child. That emotional state is crucial because it sets up the context for all later decisions. Legally, this is where consent, pressure, and choice become central themes. The court is not only interested in the fact of pregnancy, but in how decisions were made under stress. She testifies that she
January
ultimately
of
chose to have an
2017.
abortion and that Mr. Taylor
And
accompanied
when
her
that
to appointments.
happened, did you
Now
talk
here's
to
the
Mr.
key
Taylor
legal
about
nuance.
it?
Yes.
Accompaniment can be
Can you
interpreted
describe
in
kind
multiple
of
ways:
what were your
supportive
feelings
involvement
when you
or
were
emotional
pregnant?
influence. And the courtroom
I
is
was
going to
really
explore
scared,
exactly which one applies here. So the
and
question for viewers, does presence
confused,
equal support, or can it sometimes carry
I knew
unspoken
I wasn't
pressure?
ready to have a kid. So,
Was that your reaction kind of from the beginning, and did it stay that way?
yes, I immediately, that wasn't something that I thought I wanted for myself.
Was that something that you felt like you could talk to your parents about at the time?
No.
And so from the time that you found out, what did you ultimately end up doing?
I had an abortion.
And was there any point in which you changed your mind about that?
No.
And Mr. Taylor, did he accompany you to the appointments for that?
Yes.
And was there one appointment or was there more than one?
There was 2.
And did he go to both of those appointments with you?
Yes.
And can you describe at that first appointment what information was provided to you about the options?
There were 2 different types of abortions that I could have. One was the procedure, and
Your Honor has already ruled.
Okay, I'll rule it that. Go
Thank
ahead.
you, Your Honor.
and the other was taking a pill at the center and then taking one week.
This section gets more procedural but remains emotionally significant. The witness describes being informed of 2 abortion options at the medical facility: a pill-based method and a procedural method. She ultimately chooses the procedure. What's important here is how clinical this moment is compared to the emotional weight behind it. The court is carefully establishing that decisions were made through formal medical channels, with informed options presented.
Center
From a
and then
legal
taking one
standpoint,
when you got home,
this
and
reinforces that the
would
abortion
just-
occurred within a regulated
And
healthcare
did you
environment,
discuss those
not informally
2
or under
options with
coercion
Mr.
at that
Taylor
stage of the
during that
process.
time that you
However,
were
the emotional
Yes.
context still lingers,
And
especially
did
since
you-
both parties were
which
present
option
in some
did you
capacity.
ultimately choose?
And it raises
I have
another
the
viewer question.
procedure at
When
the
life-changing
facility.
medical decisions
And
happen
did
inside
he
relationships,
accompany you
how
to
much
that
influence is
visit?
considered
Yes.
normal, and when does it become undue?
And at any point, did you meet his parents?
Yes.
Did y'all continue to date after that?
Mm-hmm.
And you said that you broke up, but then you would get back together.
Yes.
And when you broke up, was there anyone in particular that he might have dated while you were broken up?
Yes.
And who was that?
Her name was Xavier.
And what was her last name?
Winford.
Did you know Miss Winford?
Yes, and not like personally, but I knew her through him, and we had a few interactions.
And can you describe what was your understanding of his relationship with her?
Someone that he dated before he met me, or didn't date. He said they were.
Now the testimony introduces a third individual, Xavier Winford, creating a complicated triangle in the relationship narrative. Denny describes Winford as someone the defendant allegedly denied being seriously involved with, even characterizing her in negative terms. This is important because it introduces potential bias, jealousy, and emotional volatility into the timeline. Then comes a major shift.
He said
The witness testifies that Mr. Taylor later told her Winford became pregnant. From a courtroom perspective, this is where emotional credibility becomes critical. The defense will likely argue emotional exaggeration or misinterpretation, while the prosecution may frame it as evidence of behavioral patterns under stress. So the audience should be asking, does emotional reaction under pressure reveal character or cloud judgment?
To tell you about
that he got her pregnant.
And what was the time frame that this occurred?
This was the summer of 2017.
And what was his demeanor like when he came to you to tell you about this?
Very erratic. He was upset, didn't want to have a baby with her. That's what he was telling me, that this was something that he couldn't do.
Was that a different reaction than he had when you told him you were pregnant, but you did not want to keep the baby?
Yes, it was flipped. How I was panicked the first time around, and he was freaking out when it was her.
And when you say he was freaking out, how did he act when he was panicked?
Really erratic, and but then he would say he could control the situation. It went on for a few days of us talking about it, but that night he was trying to figure out if there was something that he could do. He was Googling things, so he was looking stuff up to figure out how she, if there was something he could do to make her have an abortion, and asked me if I could get the abortion pills and he could make her take them or put it in her drink.
And so you talked to him over a period.
This is one of the most controversial parts of the testimony. Denny describes conversations where Mr. Taylor allegedly discussed obtaining abortion pills and even suggested administering them without consent. These are serious allegations, but importantly, they are presented as conversations, not actions. Legally, that distinction is everything. Courts must differentiate between speech, intent, and execution. According to her testimony, these were ideas discussed over a short period during emotional distress. She also states she did not obtain anything and did not participate in any such act. That reinforces that no physical action followed these conversations. Still, for viewers, this raises a difficult ethical question. When does speech cross into intent? And can emotional panic be mistaken for planning?
Thinking that would convince her to not have it because that's ultimately what he said, like, she wanted. And then they would just go back and forth about it. And then someday he would say, I think she's going to do it. And I think she's not going to do it. But she didn't want to.
And you said that he was telling her he wouldn't be a part of the child's life. Was he also saying, like, not part of her life?
Yeah, like he wouldn't have anything to do with her if she went forward with it.
Kind of like an ultimatum.
Yeah.
And he asked you if you could get the abortion pill for him so that he could make her take it and put it in her drink. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, she said it's acknowledging what the court said. Go ahead.
Did you do that?
Did I get the pill?
Yes.
No.
Was that even, not saying that you would agree to do that, but is that even possible?
No.
And did you explain that to him?
Yes.
And you said that it went over a couple of days. Did he talk about anything else that he might be able to get to put in her drink?
Objection.
Okay, I won't overlook Judge with message. She's just asking, did he?
Yes.
And the things that he was mentioning, how did he get the information?
He said he was looking stuff up on his phone. I couldn't like see what he was looking up, but he like had his phone in his hand.
And I guess what, if anything, else did you discuss with him about Miss Winford and Miss Winford getting an abortion?
He had asked me to make the appointment and said that he thinks that he could convince her by the time the appointment came to get the abortion.
And what would be the reason that he would need you to call to make the appointment?
Because she wouldn't call herself, but he wanted to go ahead and get an appointment set.
Is there a waiting time?
Sorry?
Was there going to be a delay from the time you called to when the appointment would actually be scheduled?
Can you rephrase that? Sorry.
You said that he wanted you to schedule the appointment because he thought he could convince her to do it and didn't want her to change her mind.
Yeah.
I'm asking if there was going to be like a time period.
Yes. And he didn't want, like, they were booked, so he didn't want her to finally decide to and then not be able to get it.
And did you agree and call and
Here we see another major allegation. Denny testifies that she was asked to schedule an appointment under false pretenses and even pretend to be someone else. If accurate, this introduces potential deception involving medical scheduling processes. Legally, this becomes significant because it touches on identity misrepresentation in healthcare settings, which can carry serious consequences depending on jurisdiction. However, she also states her understanding was based on what she was told by Mr. Taylor, that timing was critical and appointments filled quickly. This adds complexity.
I assume it was that appointment.
Was this coercion, persuasion, or misunderstanding under stress? And the audience should be asking, in emotionally charged relationships, how easily can urgency turn into manipulation?
Do you know, did Mr. Taylor continue to see Ms. Winford after that time frame? That would have been summer of 2017.
Yes.
And do you have any knowledge if he's continued to see her since then?
Yes, I have assumed so.
Objection. No basis for that. She's personal.
Okay, I'll strike that if she just thinks so.
Do you have any knowledge about that?
I saw a post of her at a game,
Objection.
and I was...
Okay, hang on just a second. You carry me further.
Judge, I'm just asking if she has personal knowledge of the two of them being together.
When it was something was taken or when it was posted, and she doesn't know that.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Did you know Jade Benning prior to February 25th of 2023?
I knew of her. We had had some message exchanges on social media. Like she told me happy birthday, vice versa.
And what was the connection between you and Jade Benning?
She was in a similar area. Like the Little Rock area is pretty small, so like a lot of my friends like, grew up with her. So we kind of just would see each other on social media and connected that way, but I never met her in person.
So she was kind of the social media connected friend of other friends.
Yes.
Did you both participate in the same athletic sport?
I think I was told she cheered, but I never like met her through that, but I think we might have both been cheerleaders at some point.
Okay. So you knew of her but didn't actually know her and you had never met her?
Yeah.
How did you hear about what ultimately happened to Jade Benning?
Two of my friends had said that they needed to talk to me and called me and told me about what happened.
And when you say they told you about what happened, about what was the timing of this? From when the incident happened, Miss Benning passed away, was it before she passed away?
Yes, she was still in the hospital at this point.
And so that would have been kind of right after this incident.
Yes.
When you say they told you what happened, what kind of information did you get?
I don't remember like verbatim, but they told me that they thought that or were told that he might have poisoned her or something of the sort, but they like didn't have details.
This is where the testimony takes a dramatic turn into a completely different case reference. Jade Benning. Denny describes learning from friends that Benning was hospitalized and that there were suspicions of poisoning involving Mr. Taylor. It is crucial to emphasize. This is hearsay-based testimony describing what she was told, not direct observation. The court even steps in at points to clarify foundation and personal knowledge. From a legal perspective, this section is highly sensitive because it involves serious allegations but relies on secondhand information. That's why cross-examination carefully challenges what she personally knows versus what she heard. So viewers need to ask, how does hearsay shape perception in high-profile cases?
Well, I talked to them. They knew about the situation with Xavier in the past, and I want to say maybe a few days later, my friend Ariane had reached back out to me and asked if I wanted to connect with Miss Bridget, and I said yes, that's fine. I'm open to helping in any way that I can. And then Miss Bridget reached out to me, and then from there it was Detective Reese and so on and so forth.
And did you talk to Detective Reese and provide him with the information that you've just testified about?
Yes.
And then did you also meet with Detective Reese, and myself, and Deputy Moore, and Ms. Houston?
Yes.
In Arkansas? And did you provide us with that information as well?
Yes.
If I can have just one moment. And I'm sorry, Ms. Denny, I feel like you said that they told you about Jade. When they told you about Jade, what was your understanding of what her condition was?
That she was pregnant, and you mean her physical state, or just the fact that she was pregnant?
The information that you got from the friends was that she was pregnant, and
yes,
there was suspicion.
Something happened to her, and they were thinking that it was Blaze, and that she was in the hospital after that.
And do you see Mr. Taylor in the courtroom?
Yes.
And could you point him out and identify him?
Right there.
Thank you, Ms. Denny.
All right, questions on behalf of the judge? Yeah, you can turn that top. There you go.
Ms. Denny, I want to make sure that I'm understanding got this right. So you never put anything in anyone's drink, right?
No.
You never went and got an abortion pill on behalf of Mr. Taylor?
No.
You never got any kind of other substance from Mr. Taylor?
No.
You never got any cocaine?
No.
Never got any fentanyl?
No.
You guys never slipped anything in anybody's drink?
No.
You know.
This is where the defense begins tightening the narrative. The questioning becomes direct and repetitive. Did you put anything in a drink? Did you get pills? Did you see anything happen? And the witness consistently answers no. Legally, this is important because it separates conversation from action.
No.
The defense is essentially locking in that nothing was physically carried out, no substances were exchanged, and no direct act occurred.
Yes.
This is classic courtroom strategy, reducing complex emotional testimony down to factual yes/no boundaries. So the audience should consider, does absence of action automatically erase intent, or can intent still carry legal weight?
And while he's erratic, panicked, you guys are having this conversation, and he's talking about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it wasn't something that you ever actually acted on.
No.
It wasn't something that he ever actually acted on?
No.
Okay. And just so I got the time right, so we're talking, you started school in 2016?
The fall of 2016, yes.
Fall of 2016. And you met Mr. Taylor, and start dating maybe the middle of that first year of your school?
We met in November, yeah. Things evolved from there.
Okay, I apologize. So you met at the beginning of the year, is that right?
We met in November of the fall of 2016,
Okay.
and then continued on from there.
And your kind of pregnancy situation, which I know is difficult to talk about, that happened more like the middle of the year, is that right?
That was in January of 2017.
Which would still be your freshman year of college.
Yes.
Right? And you're still just 18, 19 years old?
Yes.
Just very young, right?
Yes.
And that's a very difficult thing for someone who's that young to deal with, isn't it?
Yes.
And during that situation, at least initially, Mr. Taylor was maybe on board with keeping the baby, wasn't he?
Yes.
And in fact, ultimately it was your choice, right?
Yes.
And you made the choice, and Mr. Taylor was supportive of that choice, wasn't he?
Yes.
He went with you to the appointments, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he did whatever.
Now the defense reframes the entire relationship timeline in a more structured, almost sympathetic way, highlighting youth, stress, and emotional immaturity. Both parties are described as college students juggling sports, academics, and personal pressure. This is strategic. It reduces the perceived severity of earlier statements by placing them in the context of emotional immaturity rather than calculated intent. The witness agrees to many of these points, confirming youth, stress, and rapid emotional reactions.
Yes.
And here's the key question.
At that age,
Does context reduce accountability or simply explain behavior?
I'm 19.
19, he's maybe 20?
No, he might have been 21. I think he's a couple years older than me, but I don't remember how old he is.
Okay, so maybe he's 21, right? You're both still in college, right? Is he playing sports in college at that time?
Yes.
And you're a cheerleader,
Yes.
right? So you guys are both busy with your lives in college,
Yes.
right? And this pregnancy was a scary thing for him, right?
Mine? Or
Xavier's.
yes.
And he confided in you in a way that he was really terrified, right?
Yes.
So that conversation, the words that I wrote down is the conversation you had where he's asking you about getting an abortion pill, where that night, was there something we could do? So that was the first night that he finds out about it, right?
It might have been the first night. I'm not 100% sure if it was that very first night or the second night. But I know it was shortly after, like, this was unfolding and he found out.
Sure, really a quick, immediate reaction right after he finds out, right?
Yes.
And so he's talking about these kind of crazy things like, can you go get an abortion pill for her, right?
Yes.
And this says something else crazy like, is there something we can put in her drink, right?
Yes.
That's what you're saying. And then that was kind of the end of it. Like, you have a couple crazy conversations and there's no more, right?
That I remember, yeah.
Okay. And certainly,
This portion emphasizes memory reliability and distance in time. The defense highlights that these events occurred nearly a decade before 2023, suggesting natural memory degradation.
and certainly
The witness acknowledges uncertainty in exact sequencing and timing. This is critical in court because inconsistencies, even minor ones, can influence credibility assessments. Legally, this is not about proving events didn't happen. It's about how confidently they can be reconstructed years later. So viewers should ask,
Yes.
when memory fades, does truth become harder to prove or just harder to present?
Long before that. Okay. Thank you, Mr.
Ms. Denny, you described kind of the conversations with Mr. Taylor that this happened over at least a 2, maybe 3-day period. Is that right?
I think so.
And he was saying like, oh, this is a crazy thought. This conversation continued over those couple of days. Isn't that right?
Yes.
And is it correct to say that you were trying to talk him out of it?
Yes.
He was very adamant of trying to find something to do it.
Yes.
Objectively.
She was answered that. Any other questions?
No.
Okay. Thank you. You can step down and be excused. Who's the next witness?
The next witness is Bridget Burks.
This testimony paints a complex and emotionally charged picture involving young relationships, pregnancy decisions, alleged coercive conversations, and secondhand reports of a far more serious incident involving another individual. However, what remains consistent throughout the testimony is a clear distinction between conversation and action. Nothing was confirmed as executed by the witness herself. The court's role here is to weigh emotional testimony against factual evidence, cross-examination, and credibility over time. Ultimately, this case highlights how deeply personal relationships can become central to legal proceedings years later, and how memory, perception, and interpretation all collide inside a courtroom setting. If you found this case as shocking as we did, make sure to hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping courtroom breakdowns.